should work for him. I think just the entire composition didn't 100% fit together. I don't think Giants really could play it, and I think there were some summoner spells you can then discuss left and right.
I think so too. I also love this Champion Select music. Very much reminds me of Deus Ex. Great game. But Giants, they're going to be first banning Olaf here up against Capashot once again. Are we going to see the double ban, maybe even a triple ban this time? Because honestly, it did not hurt Capashot at all because he just picked Gnar and Smitty J early picked a tank. So that happened.
Yeah. Question is if Giants will just not early pick their top laner this time around and therefore not give Capashot at least an early Gnar pick.
That would also be good.
If I'm Vitality, unless there's like a clear-cut top pick I need, like Irelia, I would just actually save my top lane pick for last rotation. Just because I think this matchup is a lot about Capashot versus Smitty J and Capashot plus Mighty Bear versus Maxlon Smitty J. If Vitality are able to win that top lane matchup, very often we see them do extremely well in the mid game and really understand how to push their advantage. So I think saving that counter pick for Capashot will have a lot of value.
Next two bans, Tam Kench did not like Kasing picking that up last game. I do not think it was instrumental in Vitality's win, but it did throw a spanner in the works for a lot of what Giants were trying to run last game with their picks very much onto one person. Braum going to be round away from Hustlin. We'll see if he defaults to Nautilus. And Nidalee going to be aimed at Mighty Bear.
Yeah, now we have Vladimir open. One more time if Giants wants to early pick it. Actually, never mind. Vitality bans it away.
Scrap that.
So we have some of these picks again, like Karma, like Shen,
now,
who are up there. Caitlyn is open as an AD carry choice. Not that I think Sunstar is a guy you often want to early pick an AD carry for. I don't think he needs that priority in a pick and ban phase because he's by no means the big carry on this team. When I look at Giants, I always look at Knight, Maxlon, Smitty J. Like I look at the top half triangle. Those are the carries I'm looking at for Giants. So I would rather secure them a great early pick than try and like take a pick for Sunstar. So this is an option, but Gnar is fantastic. Capashot is going to play Gnar into this. Gnar
no
beats
reason for not to.
Like he's going to get a free matchup again, like in the last game.
It's not even a debatable matchup as well. We've seen this so many times, and we've always seen Gnar win that matchup. It's not like, you know, we've only seen it a couple times.
So the only question is,
they could flex
will Giants mind gamers and put that Trundle as support if there's an early Gnar lock-in from Vitality? Like, maybe not this rotation from Vitality, but the second one. Because now you often go again for priority picks, and then the next one you kind of go and say, okay, how do we round out our comp? Now they can also save last pick for Nuke Duck, which is great. If you're Vitality, you don't get that choice for your team, and you still get a great matchup. I think Gragas is the best pick for Mighty Bear, so I would like to see it. I also think Maxlore plays a lot of Gragas, and while he can be a bit hit and miss on certain ultis, he's very aggressive on the champion. And it's one of these teamfight starters that Giants really like to play. So I think it's a smart takeaway from Vitality.
Exactly, and their first pickup alongside that will also be the Karma. Very high priority, as we've said time and time again. You say ooh because Knight is currently hovering the Cassiopeia. Whether he locks it in is another question entirely. But I was personally very hyped for Knight coming in here because of his highlight reel plays that he's had on Cassiopeia back in his home region. So if we do see that, that could be very fun to watch.
But you wouldn't pick it now, right?
He's just playing with our hearts.
He's playing with our hearts, and instead, like Giants, normally this rotation is where you go like AD carry support very often. Unless you want to save that flex choice with the Trundle, then you don't log in as supporting. You just take AD carry and then a jungle pick instead. And you say, okay, we save it, but Giants are very clearly showing this is going to be Trundle top lane.
They've shown a hand.
We did talk about the Nami and Jhin together, which I actually think is a great combination. Better than Jhin Zyra. I think Jhin Zyra is kind of counterproductive in a sense. Zyra is great in these real kite back comps, and I think Jhin has to be very proactive to really be a powerful pick. You want to be able to force these long range picks with him. So I think this is a better comp right now for Giants, but if I'm Vitality, I would just lock in Gnar here and save that last pick for Nuke Duck. So take your AD carry, take your Gnar, and you have a very, very solid combo. You can even still put the Karma mid lane, and then last pick of support.
Super solid from Vitality. They have so many different ways to go with this composition already. Again, question marks for me on Giants' composition, because usually I'd raise them in the next rotation, but I felt like they've already shown what they're going to be doing in this game regardless, something very similar to Game 1. Got 5 seconds left on Vitality's draft. He has a very easy Gnar pickup here, but he's going to lock in Irelia.
Yeah.
So he's going to turn top lane into a pride match. He's going to say, I'm going to make this harder for myself, going to play this game on hard mode, pick up Irelia.
Especially because this is a matchup we've actually seen go in favor of Trundle quite a lot. Obviously, Cabochard trusts in his own skills. And him and Mighty Bear together, once you hit like level 6 on the Gragas and you get 2 components towards 24s on Irelia, he's like saying, okay, now we can win this matchup. But I think there, you honestly just take the easy pick and you have a composition where you have Gragas and Gnar together in a team fight versus a team who basically win games in team fights. So only good thing is that Nukeduck still gets his counter pick as we talked about, can take the Karma or just pick something completely different. Depending on what Giants wants to log in. They need a jungler, they need a mid laner. I like the Azir. Does have some clear counter picks. One of them is Varus.
One of them is Vel'Koz.
Problem is, well, another one is Vel'Koz. Problem about like picking Varus here is that you have so much physical damage already.
Yeah.
So that probably won't be a big choice. Technically, or typically, we just see Victor. Kind of like, meh, I see you Azir.
Yeah.
We need magic damage.
I'm gonna match you.
We have a strong overall comp, like a 1-4 setup. Victor.
Yeah. It's boring, but it does the job in the mid lane. Seen that matchup time and time and time again. Speaking of time, we have Zillion Hovered, but he's not going to lock it in. It is Kasing. He does that all the time. Still interested in this Irelia pick going into the top lane. Of course, if Irelia gets ahead in that lane, then Irelia's just going to roll over the game. But that's Irelia in every game. So
I just think you could have gone for a low-risk, high-reward situation and just taking the Gnar.
Yeah.
And you then opt into like a high-risk, high-reward situation instead, and saying, okay, we trust in Cabochard to win this matchup. Whoa! Surprise!
Is this going to be
shocking?
A Victor pick?
No.
We'll see. It could be also Lissandra. We've got 1 more second to wait. Oh, actually, going to pick up the Ryze here in the mid lane. So, actually going to see a Ryze Azir matchup. So, something a little more interesting.
So, basically what Vitality are doing is they're opting away from playing teamfight against teamfight.
Yeah.
And playing a very strong 1-3-1 comp, like something again we see very often. Ryze is right now extremely good in the early to mid game. Early game because obviously he has his all-in pressure. Mid game because once he gets like Rod of Ages and a tier, he can go crazy in a side lane. He runs TP, so it's a split pushing comp. And then the way you play it is you play around setting up dives in either Irelia's lane or the Ryze lane. Like you pick a lane and you push them both down and then you walk into one of them and you set up a dive there, or you threaten the dive and you just take a free tower.
Yep.
So it's extremely high tempo composition where you have fantastic side lanes and an Iceborne Ezreal sitting in the mid lane as your wave clear. But Giants have gone for more team fighting in this one. They do not have anyone who can follow Ryze to the side lane. That's why Vitality opts into it. So they didn't want to just try and pick safe, pick Gnar, pick Victor, say, you know what, we're going to team fight you. We have some good lanes here. They actually wanted to really play their style, their comp.
Slightly different game here. See if Vitality can execute here on the red side of the Rift this time around. Second game in this best of 2, of course, between Giants and Vitality. Use the hashtags once again, GIA win or VIT win, as we hit the Rift once more here, Deficio. And if this game gets ahead for Vitality, it could be, again, over very quickly. We had a 26-minute win in Game 1. I think one of the biggest wins in like a single team fight I've seen so far in the European LCS, where it's like clean ace into everything.
Into Third Infernal and Baron 25 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Like, you probably couldn't ask for more. But this game, obviously for both teams, revenge from Giants and trying to prove that they do belong in the middle of the standings, and a Vitality team trying to show they do not belong down in the bottom of the standings. So fighting for 2 different things right now.
30 seconds until minions
Not quite a Braveheart story, but
yeah, not quite, unfortunately. Vitality sending Cabochard and Mighty Bear back into their jungle. And
I love it
Max
when you
going to
start
start as well.
playing the level
Exactly what's
1s.
happening on screen.
Yeah, Aurelia
Like
walks
it's
into the bush and Ezreal walks
police.
by. Okay, interesting. He's walking top.
Oh,
Look how he's running. Again, the football Ezreal skin.
Is the snail there every game?
The snail?
Yeah, there was
Gary
a snail.
the snail or what?
That it could be Gary the snail. Police just walked past him. Huh, interesting. Usually our observers are pretty good at showing us the different wildlife that inhabits Summoner's Rift. We have, of course, George, Kevin, even, the owl. And Trundle, here we go. Smitty J picking that one up for Giants.
Yeah, I've realized a lot of Trundle players like to play with this skin. I don't actually know why.
I mean, the splash art is badass now. But in-game he looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Here are the keystones. Anything out of the ordinary? Like picking up Thunderlords here?
No, we see the same with the Thunderlords as last game for Sunstar. Better mid-game. But as we talked about, Vitality with this 1-3-1 comp. Now, there is a
what, Deficio?
Yeah, I'm trying to think here.
A caveat? No?
Well, a lot of people think that Ryze is like one of the greatest late game champions in the game, and like if you get to late game against a Ryze, he will just destroy you in a team fight. But while he does have a lot of damage, team fighting as a Ryze late game is very, very difficult because you don't run cleanse as an example. You have fairly low range on what you do. You have to constantly rotate these spells. It's very hard for him to actually get enough damage now compared to like a Zia with much longer range, or Victor who can just nuke with his ulti and laser. So Ryze actually really shines in the mid game when he sits in these side lanes, and people can't really 1v1 him. He has teleport, and you again, as we talked about in Champ Select, you have their priority in the lane to push first, because the other guys can't challenge you, so you get to push first, force them down to their towers, like tier 2 towers, and then you can either roam with your team through the jungle, create a pick in the mid lane, you secure free objectives in the river, or you just dive with the rest of your team coming down to that lane where you're pushing in the mid game, because you are so strong and you can CC so effectively against single targets. And that's what we're going to see Vitality try and do in this game. Also, why they have Aurelia with that Trinity Force spike. But it is a lot riskier for sure. I understand, though, how this Vitality team wants to show that they can play these comps and they want to practice these kind of things on stage, because that actually what fits Vitality as a team. Carry top laners for Capo Shot. Nuke Dog, who loves to play side lane. That style is what fits them better than just pure team fighting.
Exactly, and the meta really does allow them to do that right now. So with them being one win up in this series, especially because, I mean, the first game was a slaughter, right? So it's easy for them to kind of practice this one against Giants, who are kind of like a target dummy for them in this game. See if they can execute it well. And then they can bring that to other games. But stage experience is always great because it's so different from playing at home, playing in a gaming house, playing in a scrim. The Sunstar's going to swap up here to the top lane, as per usual. There's nothing really to write home about. I was just looking at the item builds to see if there's anything different, but Ryzer's doing the old Catalyst tier thing, and bot lane's doing the call. So, all pretty standard, honestly, here, Deficio.
Yep, very, very simple. Obviously, not going to see a whole lot happen. You can gank mid lane in these lane swaps to surprise a little bit. Ryze definitely does well when he has jungle assistance, because he needs to play very aggressive, very all-in to have pressure in his lanes. But I want to see Giants with this comp. It's somewhat of the same setup where they have the 1-4, like the one guy, which is the Trundle, who's split pushing. He has to win that lane, and then you have the 4-man group of Rek'Sai, Azir, Jhin. Like, this is one of the most effective Jhin compositions you can build. You have Prey Seeker from Rek'Sai, extremely long range. Applies damage, means the W from Jhin can follow and snare. Azir Soldiers, very long range. Nami ulti, very long range. You can use it aggressive on towers to basically force the enemy team to move to one side of the lane and then just fire up the Jhin W into an ulti. Like, there's a lot of ways you can play this out, and a lot of ways to proc or set up the Jhin. Don't take tower shots.
That's bad.
That's bad, but it requires a lot of coordination. It requires a lot of skill to execute these comps. It's why a lot of the weaker teams in regions, they can't run these comps really well. And then a team like, again, SKT, despite them losing lately, can take a comp like this and make it work.
Which is the weird thing, right? Like, Sunstar we've not praised to be like an exceptionally high mechanical ADC. Where he's actually done well is just his positioning is decent in team fights. And as you get later onto the game, that's where he kind of quote-unquote shines. But in laning phase, that's not really where he's particularly strong. And we saw that pentakill from him, but that's just because he sat at the back and did AD carry things, and his team set him up for that. So I actually think that was the only pentakill we've had so far in Europe, and that was the Sunstar.
I've been having a lot of pentakills this split. Only 4 weeks in, however.
It's true, but we have had twice as many games.
That's true. That's a good point. We don't normally get that many pentakills We get some later, I promise you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can make fun of me. But this lane swap here is more how I like to see the standard swaps go when you take that dragon, where it's after taking the second tier 1 tower, you then get your Drake. So great for Vitality one more time, because Caboshot gets to very early sit alone in the lane and the rest of the team leaves him, and either take a dragon or early recall and increase the tempo of how fast they swap around. You avoid this tier as well, the tier slump from an Israel by having these swaps. Mighty Bear is behind enemy lines, and Caboshot is joining.
He is. Mighty Bear's just kind of wandering around in circles, and Sansar is going to get jumped on. Here comes Caboshot with the Aurelia. Good bubble from Hustlin, but I'm not sure it's going to save Sansar's life. Good exhaust as well. Maxwell is going to try and back him up. Carries on hitting the Merkles on his way out. Sansar's going to get the lockdown onto Mighty Bear. Flash over for Maxwell plus the knockup. And Hustlin looking for another bubble. Only lands onto the Wolf, though. And Caboshot is now under fire, but he's slowly dying. He doesn't have Flash, but he does have Blade Surge, and Maxwell is going to tunnel after him. Nice. Long range, Deadly Flourish. Caboshot's going to turn around. Here comes the Sand Soldiers. Here comes Knight for the first blood. That was the longest engagement I've seen in an early game.
But a really poor decision from Vitality to start chasing there. Like, once you miss the kill on Sunstar, then let him live, let him run. You don't need to start over chasing. We're so early on in the game that kills compared to experience, like from minions, barely mean anything.
Wait a minute.
Nukedog is all-inning, but we get the replay. Just a heads up, Nukedog did kill Knight, by the way, just as we cut away. So this is fine. You can't Sunstar. There are no tower to defend him or anything, but this is a good bubble from Hustlin. Time with the flash, and here, as soon as the exhaust comes in, you turn around. You're not able to execute this one now. You are not able to get the kill. Knight can move from his mid lane. While he moves very late, he still has a much easier route, much quicker route compared to Nukedog. And then in the end, Caboshot ends up going down for this. And meanwhile, look at your minimap. Smitty J is just sitting bottling with a massive wave that's crashing into tower. Yes, killing someone gives you some gold and a bit of experience, but getting 1 or 2 extra waves has way more value than one single kill in the early game. Nukedog made up for it. Now he gets ganked.
And Maxwell's coming in. Knight will follow up as well, and Nukedog is getting dog-piled on, but he's somehow surviving. He would just run away to safety, desperate power, and this just strolls on out of that 3-man gank from Giants.
Yeah, who ganks who? I mean, Nukedog in the end actually got an even trade with Knight.
Yep.
Didn't even have to use anything because he didn't have a flash to use. Bubble did miss from Hustlin. Not enough damage from the team. Obviously also with the Cinderhulk Rek'Sai, but another early game where we get some action.
Yeah, but Vitality, I don't know, feel very... that's a weird word. Didn't know it could sink into the wall there, but... Yeah, Vitality feel very hungry to try and just kind of style on Giants. It's like, we're going to pick a composition that's higher risk with the, honestly, probably the same reward, but a different type of composition.
And the same reward is, and the reward is win.
Yeah, the reward is win the game, you know. Could have picked the Gnar, instead go for Aurelia, and then pick the Rise for the side lane. And then they're constantly trying to make plays with this, and I can understand it. You can make like a messy early game. It's not going to be the cleanest game, but...
This setup is fine though now.
Better in the longer run, maybe.
You get Caboshot down the bottom lane. He's level 6. Kasing getting caught.
Kasing completely caught out. He's going to flash away, and actually he's safe.
This three-man group of Maxwell, Hustlin, and Knight, while they're able to set up the picks,
they can't execute.
No, they can't execute. They don't have enough damage. Again, it's just a Cinderhulk Rek'Sai, an army who does no damage, and then Knight very early on in the game just on a stinger, so they just don't have enough damage. Got a flash from Kasing, and they get some pressure on mid tower, which is key for them, because if you look at top lane, Police had a lane he was pushing out, so there wasn't really anything to do from Giants on top side. And now they just get a free group mid. So I really like this. If you can attack champions like Rise when he's stuck on the tower, he can't wave clear, and you can just get so much free poke on these towers. It's a really good move from Giants. And because Kasing got caught out, the defense wasn't there from Vitality.
Yeah, haven't seen stuff like that for a long time. I remember years ago when I saw Kasing in the UK scene, his thing was being out there alone warding and always getting caught in enemy jungle while on warding expeditions, but kind of haven't seen that as much. I feel like
that's a classic support.
I feel so, but it was kind of a UK meme at that point. But not been so bad. And Kasing actually escaped from that one as well, because Giants simply just don't really have the damage right now to deal with that. So
tell me, Pulse, back in the UK scene, when Kasing was not professional, not in the LCS yet, Was he considered one of the best players? Because like sometimes they come a little bit out of nowhere. They play around the scene and you don't really feel like they accomplish anything. And then they get into the LCS and they surprise you.
He was up there for sure. He wasn't like the #1 support. He was crushing everybody and needs to get into Europe immediately. But
you would think so if you consider the fact that UK supports in the past, it's been very few.
That's true. But I mean, there's been very few UK players in general who come into Europe, right? And they don't always stick around. In fact, in Challenger, we actually have quite a few right now. It's ironically not the team who qualified for the UK Premiership who is one of the most UK players, but it's actually cool. We have a lot of good players right now who could be in the LCS very soon. A lot of underage players, in fact. So we'll see. A lot of promising talent, I think, in Challenger this split.
I think it's Alfari. He's one of them.
Yeah.
I believe he's from the UK, 16 years
as
old.
Well
Maxwell.
In this game. I think one of the shining lights on the Giants lineup.
But
with Knight.
It's always been a scene where you feel like there's supposed to be more good players. And there's always been like a few who made it into the LCS.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about the UK. The teams generally don't stay around together very long. Even more so than Challenger scene in general. So it's actually pretty interesting. First dragon of the game goes over to Giants. Going to be that Ocean Dragon. 13 minutes in, and Vitality have kind of taken a step back. Haven't been as aggressive as they were after that failed invade. Well,
they're kind of waiting for Nuke Dog to hit the spike he's on now, the Trinity Force tier, and now it's kind of go time. Capuchard needs a few hundred gold and he gets his Trinity Force. Sadly, just missed him for him. Doesn't have boots either. And that's like the big spike for Vitality, where you start playing these side lanes. You have TP ready, you set up your 1-3-1, and you apply pressure before Giants can like group 4-man mid and just take your tower for free. Because if you start forcing Giants to always defend, like always have to send the Jhin to defend the lane against the Ryze, or the ZS to walk down and defend, then they can never group together as 4 and their composition can never really do what it wants to do. So it's all about having the push priority in this match here. If Vitality are able to set up this 1-3-1 and like kind of hold hands on all 3 lanes and then start pushing them down, Giants can never group. And then Vitality will just start getting more and more map control, and slowly but surely all the river objectives go down. Once Baron spawns, that becomes your objective and you start getting some of these towers. But now, because Vitality didn't get that right timing yet, they just got Trinity Force completed now from Capuchard, who is behind with this Aurelia pick after that very, very bad decision earlier where he was chasing at level 4. It's really delayed them and giving Giants the last out of turret. Even Rift Hell, this is huge for Giants, because this means Smitty J has an even bigger advantage in the one-on-one against Capuchard. And if you have a losing lane in a 1-3-1 comp, it becomes very difficult to execute it. Yeah. Because then every single time you're pushing, well, you're only pushing 2 out of 3 lanes, because the one lane where you're supposed to also win is getting pushed into his own tower because it's an Aurelia who's behind versus a Trundle with Rift Health. And then you can no longer apply proper map pressure because you want every single lane rolling.
And this is why we call it high risk, right? Because things can go wrong with that Aurelia pick in the side lane. Instead of just kind of playing the team fights, picking an R against the Trundle, which was revealed very early on. It was second rotation versus
Trundle was first picked.
I mean, yes, but we thought it could go into support, and then it was revealed by the Nami pick in second rotation. So they showed the cards there, and then Vitality were like, let's go Aurelia. Right now, I mean, they're not out of the game, of course. It's only 15 minutes in, but they are behind in terms of gold. And we'll see how this 1v1 matchup actually goes now that Smitty has the Titanic Hydra.
I mean, the way Capuchard is going to play this matchup now is he's going to accept that Smitty J gets to push first and just not start trading with him, but kind of just accept, okay, it's not my time to eat yet, I'll have to wait and then the food will come to me. But it does mean you have to be reactive. Smitty J is setting up a TP play.
Here comes Huston. He's only level 5 though. Nuxus is going to jump right on top of him and look to pick up this kill. Huston tries to cut the vision, and with Smitty J and Sunstar, they'll have enough to finish him off. Fourth shot comes in. Meanwhile, Maxwell getting chased down by Kasing. That was almost bad for Huston, but he got out of there alive.
And that was a kill for Giants. I actually don't think that's worth it. You use teleport in a game where you have a winning 1v1. So you would have all the pressure in that bottom side against the Capuchard. And you would also have your TP ready, so in case he would TP away and force a play on the other side, you could follow. So you just had an automatically winning lane, then you had a 4-man group in mid who could group up together, and you could play those 2 lanes and stop Vitality from actually being aggressive. Just TPing top and getting 1 kill is not worth it for Giants at all. They're way too eager here to make a play. win the game without fighting.
Yeah, fighting without fighting. As teleport,
Don't
flash,
fight without fighting. Just win the game without fighting.
Exhaust. Yeah. Yeah. But they could do that, but instead they make the play. Okay.
So you always got to say, okay, what happens after they get the kill? Like, what are Giants able to do
what
after they get
can
this
they
kill?
take?
Had Riftel still been alive, it would have made sense. They would kill Nuke, take the Riftel, be like, okay, fair enough, you get an objective and a kill. In this case here, there's no tower nearby. The minion wave is pushing down towards the tier 2 tower, and you invest 5 members topside, so there's nothing else you can gain, and you just use the big cooldown.
Max Law, he's found Mighty Bear. Here's the CC chain. Huston's coming in here, and Mighty Bear will take the foresty route out.
Because now we go back to how we're supposed to look before. Smitty just pushing up Copper Shot. You move your team over, you force Copper Shot back, and it's Nuke who has to react. He has to use TP at some point to stop these pushes from happening, but then Vitality cannot play that comp because it's Giants who wants to play with this big group together. So things are looking very good for Giants right now, except for the fact they just wasted that teleport. Look at Nuke in your minimap. He has to respect the fact that he needs to TP in, potentially, to stop this tower from going down.
Here's the Sunstar Ultimate Max Law, and everyone's jumping into this fight. Tidal Wave as well,
Great
knock
play.
up Mighty Bear. Great play by Giants. They'll pick up the first gun to Copper Shot, a second onto Mighty Bear. Police and Kasinga being pushed in.
And Nuke is here now. Way too late reaction. Then, if you want to wait this long, just don't TP at all then.
Yeah.
Because then you have at least a global advantage, and you can try and use that to get back in the game for the next 2-3 minutes. Really, really poor game from Vitality, and exactly what we didn't want to see. After they had such a good first game, we want to see them be consistent and say, we are better than these teams.
Get a 2-0, the 3 points. That's what we wanted to see. I'm getting flashbacks to Challenger this week, Deficio, because in all 3 series we had a completely decisive game 1, and then the team who won was like, we're going to change our strategy, do something else, style on them, pick a Draven, and then they lost horribly. And that was every single game, and I'm seeing the same happen right here to Vitality, where they didn't need to draft this.
But even, like, ignore the draft. Like, the draft for Vitality can win easily.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely this draft can win. However, it is very, very difficult to execute, as you're saying, for sure. And then when you make so many bad calls, well, then you don't deserve to win the early to mid game. Again, the early chase. This one here, like, what was that? Like, alright, they're grouping on our tower, they're poking it down, we have TP. Are we gonna use it? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I guess we do, and then you already lost your top lane and your tower, and you just use TP and run away. Those kind of mistakes should never happen in professional play. And this team has now not been able to punish Smitty for using that TP. So he has his TP back up. He's still winning that lane. Knight might go down.
Mighty Bear's found him. Here comes the Jin'Ul. Lands onto Kasing. Body blocked here by Mighty Bear. Last one will land and just scratch Gragas. But Knight is fairly low himself and will bring up the Sundisk.
And another situation, Vitality are never able to push side lanes first. They have no pressure in these lanes. So Nuke are just up there farming, and he's now leaving the rest of his team behind. As Zia turret has been put up in the mid lane at the tier 1 tower. Perfect setup right now for Giants. As long as they keep getting some damage, always just poke these towers. Poke them, poke them, poke them. If you don't kill them the first time, you might kill them second or third time. And your entire goal is to clear away all these outer turrets and then start playing around Baron in 3-4 minutes time. That's your entire goal with this comp if you are Giants. You have the pick potential, you have the winning side lane with the Trundle. They are in a very, very good spot, but they were also in a great spot last week where they were winning side lanes, they were setting up the map well, and then randomly they TP'd on Baron, rushed it, or tried to rush it down, got collapsed on and died, and the game was almost lost against Origin. So now we want to see Giants show us clean execution the next 10 minutes. You have a Mountain Drake, next one is also Mountain Drake, and Smitty J, he's loving life.
He's having such a great day here. 2-0 and 1. I mean, there's nothing that Cabochard can do really up against Trundle now. Did not get ahead in that lane throughout the lane swap. 20 minutes in, next Dragon rather, is going to be Mountain, so Giants will just be able to push these towers even harder and take Baron as well when it comes up. And yeah, honestly, Giants just in a pretty good position, but I feel like set up by Vitality for them.
I agree, 100%. Giants have executed well, but also Vitality have played extremely poorly, and as highlighted multiple times, drafted a little bit risky.
Yeah,
but
it's a bit of both, right?
One thing you notice on your minimap now, while Giants are running a 1-4 comp, a 1-4 composition will never just play 2 lanes. You still always play all 3 lanes. You use your AD carry to push out these side lanes. You leave Azir mid, because no one can challenge Azir for the push on minions. So he will always be able to push first, and force you to go back and like wait for these minions and nuke duck. It's just, there's nothing you can do against this Trundle.
Nope.
Rift held and everything. And now, once Giants have pushed one of the side lanes, you just rotate your Azir up there because you know he's been pushing mid first. Every single time. So he can always move first, and you just get a bit of damage on tower. You get deep vision in the enemy jungle, and eventually you're strong enough to take Baron. If you get a second Mountain Drake, that Baron is going to die in like 3 seconds.
Yep.
So Giants are in such a perfect position right now to just play out this game very cleanly and actually never give Vitality a chance to come back in the game.
Yep. And we'll see if they can make that happen. Police is trying his best to try and keep this alive. Mighty Bear's looking for a flank. He does have flash, remember, and the ultimate. He's trying to get involved. Hudson's going to flash away. Maxor is caught off to the side. Kasing trying to lock him down, but it's Mighty Bear who's now caught. Here comes Sunstar. Flash, knock him. Mighty Bear's dropping low. Last shot kills Kasing. Mighty Bear and his team are trying to hold on, but I mean, they just have to give up this tower now.
Yeah, again, Vitality should not be able to do anything right now. Like, the game for them technically is lost.
Yeah.
If you look at everything that went wrong for them and how they want to play their composition in the mid game, Giants, another solid play. They play around the top side of the map because that's the last outer turret. They need a pink ward on this Baron though.
Yeah.
Don't want to risk Mighty Bear stealing it away from you, or this is like one of the ways you can still lose it if you take too much damage from Baron and then get collapsed on, because everyone is alive from Vitality, and in the end they just force a TP from Coppershot and they disengage. So that's definitely worth it again.
Yeah, they went onto the Baron and they were like pretty much already backing off. Coppershot preemptively TPs to try and make sure this one does not go down, and Giants just kind of got even more from that, and now they'll head back. Mid lane tower maybe taken down here by Vitality. No, not even. Giants are able to defend in time, even got some actually no recalls yet. Okay, now the recalls come in. Dragon's up in 1 minute, so now is a perfect time to recall and get ready for the next one. This was just a good setup, and Mighty Bear couldn't get involved for his initiate.
No, Mighty Bear here needs to target a Zia or Jhin with just body slam flash. The fact he tries to just engage with a kind of lazy body slam onto an army means it's very easy for Giants to avoid that engage and then just not really respect the Gragas at all. You need to be able to body slam flash on these low mobility targets like a Jhin and just body slam him, knock him back into a team and then take him down. That's your way to win if you're Vitality. Want to see Giants now set up for this Dragon, secure that second Mountain Drake to get even more pressure on the Baron, and then once you pick up that Baron, it's a very easy route towards victory because you have so much damage on these objectives. So they gotta set up properly for this. There's no TP for Coppershot or Smitty J, so he needs to push this wave and then run down to join his team to make sure they can secure this Mountain Drake. Look at your minimap now, he should be moving down. And he is very slowly on his way. Might actually do another wave before joining. He has still about 12 seconds, so it makes sense.
He's got time. Vitality, do they even have any wards around the area? One. They're pretty much blind there right now.
Now he's on his way.
Now he's coming.
Now he's coming down. He might not even make it down here. It's just the fact that he leaves, so Vitality knows, so okay, he's on his way. So if we try and fight, we know Smitty J will join. So now he can actually just turn back. He's like, okay, they're not contesting. They didn't see me in top lane. I can just go back to my lane now. So great play. Again, very solid, very clean calling, very consistent calling. A lot of the plays Giants have been making this game have been very low risk, but always giving medium or high reward for them. It's very rare Vitality has had a chance to actually respond properly. And we also, I cannot speak, and Vitality in this game cannot shot call.
Apparently not. Mighty Bear gets called out. He's going to have to use a defensive ultimate. Here comes the pillar. Ultimate out from Sunstar as well. Going to get some body blocking going on. Crit onto what? Smitty killed him anyway. Substigate actually took ticked down, so it didn't even matter. They had the body block from the police. Rest in peace.
And now Baron being started, double mountain, meaning Vitality needs to rush to stop this one. No smite. Mighty Bear is gone.
Look how fast Azir and Trundle are killing this Baron.
Baron is gone.
It's gone already. Nuke Dog's coming around, but he gets snared down. Coppershot tries to get involved, but there's the line of soldiers. Police comes in, burns the flash to try and nuke down Knight. Here comes the chase from Vitality, but they're really just grasping at straws. And the trap will even slow them down, adding insult to injury. This is horrific from Vitality now with the Baron over to Giants. Next Dragon's going to be Infernal, and I just don't see what Vitality can do now outside of a mistake from Giants.
No, again, as I said before, technically Vitality should not be able to do anything. It's all on Mighty Bear with a Body Slam Flash onto like a Sunstar.
Play of the century it has to be right now.
So I like the fact it's gone for like a second item more here. It gives the armor pin you need. It also gives you defensive options. And when you have these goal leads, defensive items are so impactful with the way resistances and armor works. Like early items like that, where you go from, let's say, 40 MR to like 65 MR, is a big increase in damage reduction %. Where if you go from 150 to 180, it's a much smaller increase in %.
Diminishing returns.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get one defensive item early, it's a massive boost for you and makes it so hard for the other team to actually do anything against you. So I like that pickup a lot. And now Giants with double Mountain Drake. SmittyJ give him a few hits on this tower and it's gonna go down. So Vitality constantly needs to worry about every single lane.
Yep. Frozen Domain goes down and the tower's already almost dead. Mid tower is getting sieged in. Azir doing very well on this as well. Opens up with the Curtain Call. Gonna land a couple onto Mighty Bear, another one onto Police, and the last one on to Gragas. Landing these ultimates this time around. Last game was not really connecting any, but it's very easy when it's kind of a fish in a barrel.
Yeah, and here you can, technically, if you want to play a bit aggressive, tidal wave towards the tower and just step in and kill it. Or you can just say, you know what, we actually don't care because Vitality's not going to do anything. Just want to set up that potential play in case it happens, so we could be like, whoa! But crazy again.
Mighty Bear, he's sitting on the front lines, he's going to try and make a play, knocks Maxlaw into the team. Do they even have the damage to nuke him down in time? In comes Cabochard, but he's going to tunnel to safety. Cabochard now backing away, and SmittyJ is coming in. Knight misses the combo, but it's not going to matter. Nuke Duck gets locked in place. He's going to try and return fire, but does pretty much nothing. Middle inhibitor's dead. Top inhibitor tower is also going to fall, and so will the top inhibitor. 7-1, Giants in full control of this game.
And second time we see Mighty Bear trying to engage in this Gragas, and he completely misses the engage. Like, there was no Body Slam Flash one more time. Ended up just flashing and ulting on the Rex side. Like, you need to get onto Jhin or the Azir. I can see at this point has the Hourglass, so it's almost impossible to kill him, but the few chances Vitality had to get back in the game. Like, look at this here. He just ends up flashing forward and knocking back Maxlaw, and that's it. He even saves Sunstar, actually keeps him further away.
Yeah.
Or knocks him further away, so great fight again from Giants, and we gotta give them credit. This has been great, clean shot calling from this Giants team. They've not made mistakes at all. They've not given Vitality any chances to get back in this game.
Here comes Kasing. He's going to try and make a play. True Shot Barrage completely goes wide. Mighty Bear also gets locked up. Maxdor will finally go down. Cabochard gets the reset on that one with Blade Surge. Curtain Call's coming across. Locks one down onto Kasing, and this should be a second for SmittyJ. Knight's actually the one to pick that one up. And that was a 1-for-2 trade still to Giants. Nuke Duck is going to go on a long expedition to try and take down Sunstar, but he's got the rest of his team now. And Nuke Duck's saying, unfair. Come on, guys. All right, 1v4. Let's go. SmittyJ, he's chasing after. Misses. He's missing everything. Call him Neo right now. He's going to... Oh, ooh, that was a lot of damage. Rest in peace, Nuke Duck.
He tried.
He tried. Valiant effort,
like,
but in the end, it didn't even matter.
The mind games of, I'm not actually going to juke, I'm just going to run in a straight line here, and you're going to think I'm going to juke, but Vitality here obviously trying to just force fights to see if they can maybe surprise Giants and get back in the game. They do get the 1 kill on Maxlaw, but at this point when you're this far behind, you always end up losing so much just to get 1 kill. And SmittyJ is just a monster on this Trundle here. Nothing Vitality can do against him. Nuke Duck thought he got in range for the snare. Turns out he did not.
Nope. And this was the...
look at the mind games.
Straight chase. All right.
Here, like,
so if you're ever in this situation, just run in a straight line.
Run in a straight line.
Because your opponents will think, oh, he's going to juke back. Nope.
Actually, no, Sunstar just didn't calculate with the time it takes for Jhin to charge up W.
But the fourth shot, 800 damage, will finish him off quite nicely. And Giants, they just need to play it safe. They've just made consistent, safe plays.
Yep.
SmittyJ is locked up underneath the tower. Mighty Bear tries to make a play, but is denied by Knight. Maxwell's coming in here. Tidal Wave will separate the fight briefly. Vitality seems to be getting in the upper hand, though. Maxwell's going to fall 2 quick kills. SmittyJ also caught within Vitality. A 3-for-1 Vitality bite back.
There's always some caster curse going
just
on.
A little bit.
Really praising a team for playing well. Sure, They might get one Nexus turret down. Nope, it is alive for now, and the minions are here to stop the super minions.
Yeah. This is one of those games, though, where you're in solo queue and it's just like you're given hope, but then the opposing team takes down Infernal.
Right. We had the surrender vote just before this fight.
Yeah.
And then you managed to get 3 kills on... Some people will click no. They're like, oh, guys, see, there's a small...
Yeah, someone holds on to wait to see the conclusion of the fight, and it's just like, no, we can win this.
We can win.
3-2, vote fail.
I mean, I think if you do play ranked, honestly, surrender is useless because people make so many mistakes.
Especially in solo queue.
You can so often get back in the game with someone just messing up completely.
It's a game of tilt.
But in this situation here, Giants lost the fight, got an Infernal Drake. These Nexus turrets are very, very low. If they can manage to set up another push, the super minions will take care of the towers. And then, in the end, it didn't mean anything. See the fight again. This time, I think Mighty Bear actually got a fine engage. He got Knight at least knocked into the team. Obviously here, Giants needs to either commit for tower damage or step away. Smitty on the tower. Then Mighty Bear, good ulti from him this time, and they get Knight down. And you gotta keep in mind when you run Azir Jhin.
Yeah.
Jhin has great like burst DPS, but the consistent DPS is much better from an Azir. So Giants need the Azir to sit there and get everyone low, and then Sunzar can kind of pick his targets and execute them in the end. So when Azir gets singled out, Giants do lose quite a lot of DPS. And yes, they lost the fight, but I mean, you got again another Drake for it.
Yeah.
Setting up for Baron.
I mean, honestly, we're in the same situation we were like before the 3 kills anyway. Yeah. It's not like this game has really gone out of control because of those 3 kills. Vitality didn't get anything after that. However, what division?
I have seen teams in Europe have massive goal leads.
Yep.
Go to Baron. Get kind of lazy with the setup. Like, nah, we don't really need to clear vision that much. We can just win the fight anyway. Lose the Baron. And lose the following team fight.
Yeah.
And then we're here for another 20 minutes.
True.
Instead of Giants taking that Baron and walking in and winning the game.
Yeah. Okay, let's judge Giants' setup here. They're placing down the trap, placing down the vision, clearing away the wards. There's still one in the pit. Mighty Bear stepping up. Bot lane is still an issue though, as Smitty J is gonna wreck Cabochard in a 1v1.
Wait, Vitality is rushing in because they think they're on the Baron.
But
actually they're just rushing for top inhib instead. They're like, we don't want to risk a Baron steal. Let's just take the open inhib. We're gonna win the team fight.
Wow. Because the jungle was dark, Giants get in here, sneaked into back lines, take away the inhib. Now they run towards Baron, and Vitality are just like getting danced around, honestly. Nuke Duck's sitting in a bush. Patient
I don't think
Duck.
you need to Ghost Blade there.
I mean, no, probably not. But it's going to be, it's only like half duration now already. It's already almost off cooldown, so.
All right, good little sneaky play. This is why you set up all that vision and deny enemy vision, because then
you
they
can
have
do
to
stuff like
rush
that.
in and try and stop these Barons, even though you're not even there. But it's not over yet. Mighty Bear can tank this up.
3, 4. Actually did 0 damage to Mighty Bear, but he connected all of them, so that's what counts.
Police also tries to hit him with a Mystic Shot. His own poor jungler.
What the hell, man?
Giants has TP.
Started Baron.
This is the fight, Paul.
This is dying very quickly. I mean, Vitality have to do something here. Kasing doing a bit of damage onto Max Law. Vitality chase. Giants back away from the Baron. Good. Nuke Duck's over the wall. He has Flash, looking to try and get onto the back line of Knight and Sunstar, but backs away. A lot of posturing, not a lot happening. Rise did manage to take down the mid lane tower. Smitty J jumps onto Kasing. Cabochard will save his life.
Smart enough by Giants to just walk away from that Baron. Like now, again, we're not going to risk Mighty Bear stealing it. So trying to play it safe, but it does again buy a little bit of time for Vitality. Just a little bit of time in this situation.
Yeah, a little bit of time. Vitality gonna back away here, and Giants, I like what they're doing here. They're not just committing to the Baron and making it a 50-50 play.
I would like to see Smitty J just go to the bottom lane though, and
yes, GP.
Push in that wave. You have that last tower, and there's no real threat right now of Vitality just surprising you. You have vision of everything. Like you can see Mighty Bear move towards you. You know he's gonna body slam Flash, but they commit to Baron one more time. Again, we have TP for Cabochard. We have Mighty Bear with Flash and Smite.
This is Vitality's chance. Police goes in. Max Law gonna respond with a
one kill
with the tidal wave. Cabochard picks up one. He's gonna jump into the back lines. Nightlaw's gonna Knight's gonna knock him away with the ultimate. Cabochard drops low. Smitty J is trying to get out alive. Here comes a curtain call. Flash from Cabochard. Barely survives. Vitality now chasing down Smitty J. They picked up one. They're looking for their second of this fight. It will be very easy able to pick it up or not. Police will have to flash. Nuke Duck comes in from around the side. Surely he's going to get him. Room Prison will put him down.
I hate to say it, Pulse, but we just talked about how Vitality still have this one chance around Baron. I don't know why Giants would just hard commit to starting Baron again to then try and disengage one more time. You have TP in your Trundle. He's the strongest man in the game. Just put him on the bottom lane and you're just going to automatically get that free tower on bottom side. No one can stop him. Instead, they hard commit for Baron to then say, no, we actually don't want to hard commit because we don't want to risk you stealing it.
But because inhibitor advantage was still over to Giants, they did pick up the Nexus turret, or one of them at least. Super minions came in there. So Vitality still lost out, but they stalled the game still. That just means Ryze will be scaling up, and so will Aurelia. Of course, Azir is kind of still a problem, and also the fact that no one can duel Smitty J. But Vitality are extending this game. And Giants, yeah, just send Smitty down to bot lane. I hope when he respawns, he just catches that wave and just keeps on pushing.
Especially because, I mean, how many minions did just crash into tower? Like, there's like 4 or 5 waves of caster minions on the bottom tower here for Vitality. Not able to get tower, I believe, because now Smitty J is there to stop him, but again, it's a lot of extra farm and pressure that Giants is giving away. And they're allowing Vitality right now to not just straight up lose multiple lanes at once. Infernal Drake is here. We've been very lucky with our Drakes in the studio today. Such a boring, useless caster comment, by the way. I mean, oh, we've been lucky with the RNG Drakes.
But at the same time, they haven't been fighting a lot over those dragons. It's generally been a team getting a team fight or something before and then just being ahead enough to go for it. Smitty J did use Substigate. That's why he's so big right now. Yeah, I mean, he's got a fairly short cooldown.
They're just going to start Baron again.
Okay. What's going to be the result this time, Deficio?
I also realized, by the way, it's not an Infernal Drake, it's Elder Drake, obviously, but Baron is being rushed down, and finally Vitality were too late to react, and Giants managed to pick it up. Nice little bubble and ulti as well on Mighty Bear.
Yeah. I actually quite like that ultimate from Knight, because even if Mighty Bear jumps over, he'll be knocked back over using the soldiers. They'll punt him back over, so... Nuke Duck will clear out this minion wave, but finally Giants have picked up Baron. Now Elder Dragon is alive. They might just do the same thing and try and rush it and give Vitality a chance to fight.
But Mighty Bear has no flash.
Oh, yeah.
It's very hard for him to engage properly.
If he doesn't get that flank.
Super minions will disappear very soon. Inhib has respawn. Vitality's still around. Look for another smite steal potentially.
Let's see. Police gets knocked away.
I mean, this could be
Giants disengage.
So easy for Giants, and they're just making it very complicated.
Yeah.
Again and again, because they keep being afraid now of like throwing the game away. They're like, oh, we don't want to risk Baron steal or Elder Drake steal. So like, they play really safe, despite the fact they were like 10,000 gold ahead if we go like 5 minutes back. And they just couldn't be stopped when they were pushing up 2 lanes at once. With double Mountain Drake as well, like these towers would die in just a second.
Yeah, I think this just highlight though that we see big weaknesses from not only Vitality but also Giants. Remember, this is like middle of the table in terms of where they're standing right now, week 4. But yeah, maybe we are setting higher expectations for them. Mighty Bear is caught out, and he is almost certainly going to go down. Well, body slam to safety, deadly flush. No one was able to block it. He goes right through them. Police goes down. 50 seconds on the death timers. And Giants, I think they can probably just close here. They've got the super minions coming down mid lane.
Mighty Bear flash as well. Didn't even use it, just ended up going down. That tower died very quickly.
Yeah, he could have survived. Here comes the curtain call. Sing is going to receive a lot of these, and Giants are just going to finish the game. Even it's to a 1-1 on the week up against Vitality.
So, as we talked about before this game started, we might just get one of these situations where Giants plays well, it ends up in a 1-1, and we're kind of left with the same feeling we had of both teams before this day started. We just have the same feeling now. We're like, there's some positives, there's some good things, but there's just like inconsistencies, and there's too many issues to always secure 2 zeros for both teams. Like, this game, obviously, Giants played extremely well for like 30 minutes. And then The last 10 minutes, they were a little bit too nervous with the calls they were making and tried to rush a little bit too much. But in the end, they had such a massive goal lead that it didn't matter.
Yeah, I also preferred the draft in this game from Giants. They kind of gave me what I wanted coming out of game 1. Knight was on Azir, or Victor. He went Azir this game. Great. Smitty J was on the split pusher. Had a really good setup to this game, honestly, up against the Aurelia, so he was always winning.
Right, Smitty J had a winning split push matchup this time around, not a losing one like in the last game. And that's what we also talked about, how Knight, Maxlore, and Smitty J are like the 3 players we're looking at with Giants, saying like these are the kind of guys who need to do well, and they all had a good game. Honestly, Maxlore had some good early pressure. Obviously, Knight on Azir, we know when he gets to late game, he always have massive impact, and Smitty J was like the big MVP, honestly, because he managed to get a great early start. He just had full control of that lane for the entire game long, and no one could stop him at any point. So
pretty much.
I think this draft was much better from Giants, and as we highlighted multiple times, I think Vitality gambled in this pick and ban phase where they didn't have to. It could legit just have been a Gnar pick to shut down the Trundle and just a Victor in the mid lane, and you just play teamfight versus teamfight. But it ended up being like, no, we gotta now win the mid game with this 1-3-1 setup, and they made
a lot of mistakes.
Many
mistakes.
Terrible calls in the early game.
Didn't make a lot of sense a lot of the time, I just don't know anymore, because I was coming into this game and I was like, Vitality, they pick up another win here. Okay, they're head and shoulders over Giants. Maybe they are showing some separation between them and the bottom of the pack. That's out the window. I feel like Vitality and Giants may even be in a very similar boat right now.
I think they are. I think they're even.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we see.
Well, yes. Well, 1-1 generally denotes that,
Like, we see 2 teams who have good things and bad things, both of them, like an even amount of both. No one is like much better than the other one, and so on. I think calling these teams middle of the pack, I think it's fair for Giants more than Vitality in a sense. I actually think middle of the pack for us right now doesn't mean a whole lot, because we have the top teams in Fnatic, H2K, and G2.
Yeah.
And then we have this massive group of teams who are
like
very close from Splice down to Vitality or Origin. And then it's only Unicorns down beneath at number 10, who's
separation,
clearly weaker than everyone else right now. Everyone else is kind of the same.
Well, couldn't agree more, Defisher. But either way, we're going to send it over to Sifa, who is standing by with Maxtor for an interview.
Thank you so much, guys. Of course, excited to be here with victorious Maxlore. A story we're hearing more and more of as the weeks go on, especially after your 2-0 over OG. But I want to talk to you about kind of that set as a whole. Game 1 seemed really rough for you guys and really clean for Vitality, but it felt like you almost immediately turned it around in Game 2. What changed between these 2 games?
I think Game 1, there was huge draft errors in how we drafted, and so we obviously immediately changed that, because I think Game 1, they just pressured all over the map and there was like almost no counterplay. And also Game 1, I felt like our communication wasn't that good compared to Game 2. Like, everyone talked a lot more, but Game 1 it was just slacking a bit in my opinion. So Game 2 was a lot better for us than Game 1, but it was still, pretty hard to close out.
In the end, though, did come out with the tie there to round it out. And, of course, beating out OG, as I mentioned earlier. Communication, something you mentioned right there. Has it been improving for the team? It seems like you guys have been working a lot better, both in terms of teamfight execution and in terms of moving across the map.
Yeah, communication has been getting better because the Koreans are learning more English, and in scrims or in-game, like, people would point out, like, oh, you could have communicated that better or blah, blah, blah. And so as we play more, we improve our teamwork, which is, I think, our biggest problem right now.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward, of course, you guys are going to be matched up against Schalke tomorrow. How do you feel about that matchup, both in terms of going up against Gilius and in terms of just Schalke as a team?
I mean, going up against Gilius will be fun because, like, it's just one of those junglers that you just really want to play against and really want to win against. Against Schalke as a whole, they've been doing a lot better than I thought they would. So I think we just have to care for some of their compositions that they're really good on, or signature champions, and I think we should be able to win.
Definitely. Good to hear the confidence coming in, winning more games, moving up in the standings for Giants. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me, man. But of course, with that, we are going to start to send things over to Shox at the analyst desk to break that series down.
Thank you very much, Sifa. Well, he talked a lot about Schalke, and we're going to give you a lowdown on that G2 Schalke game in just a minute. However, Verius, you were looking very closely at this game. How did Giants manage to win that second game?
Well, they largely changed things up coming into Game 2. You heard it from Max where he said there were some draft issues in Game 1. What they did do is they banned Nidalee away from Mighty Bear, which alleviated so much jungle pressure, and Mighty Bear did not have the same sort of performance that he was able to replicate in his Game 1. So they also managed to get Azir for Knight, and he was able to make these plays from the mid lane. So that was absolutely monumental. And with Giants having a few more comfort picks, they were feeling a lot more confident.
Yeah, you could definitely see the kind of gamble they put on that Aurelia as well on the side of Vitality. And just, I think Giants did very well playing around the top lane triangle. Deficio alluded to this as well in the cast, saying, you know what, they took away attention from their bot lane, poured all their resources in their kind of their playstyle around the top lane triangle, and they shut down Vitality. And if Cabochard doesn't get rolling, you know, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, much like in Game 1, Giants get an early objective. You want to take another look at that tower dive?
Yeah, this was actually a very well-executed tower dive coming out from Giants overall, because something that we've been wondering is how well can Giants actually execute and work as a team, and this tower dive is an excellent illustration of how they were able to do that. They focus in, they come in from the flank, they're able to get the primary targets down, and then once they forced Vitality away, they take down the turret, and then they chase on for the rest of the kills. And this is a big disparity from what we saw in the past, where where Giants were very much about let's get the kills, or let's just tunnel on the objective, and this time they were managing their resources much more efficiently than they have done.
Yeah, and that play also caught Vitality by surprise, because the Rise just joined in way too late. He was teleporting in from the bottom left of your screen, and like he didn't even make it into the fight by the time this replay ended. So that's definitely either he walked or teleported, but he ended up on the wrong side of that fight regardless. So definitely a good proactive move there.
And the big thing for Giants in particular was, how are they now going to be able to close it out? Because against Origin, they had a good early lead, and then it was very back and forth. And unfortunately for Giants, they seem to do another Giants thing where they push their lead a little bit too far, and they end up getting caught out of position. And this is an example of where they're trying to force this final Tier 3 turret, and they just overextend, they overcommit. And I want you to keep your eye on Knight, because he forces his Zhonyas here. He still has his flash available. He doesn't decide to use it, and he ends up getting caught out and throws away the kill. So it was just a matter of Giants being a little bit too overconfident, too over-aggressive. They throw their lead away, they allow Vitality to come back in, and if it wasn't for Giants being able to get a Baron later on, this game could have gone back in Vitality's favor.
Yeah, definitely. But Giants, very nice on them. A 1-on-1, even against this opponent, is also very important in the long scope of things. Our player in the game for Giants, Smitty J. Of course, a lot of expectations for a lot of these players, and he's not someone that we usually expect to step up as player of the game. We had Knight a couple of times, so what distinguished him in this game from his other ones?
Well, the fact that he got a Trundle into an Aurelia match definitely helps out.
Pretty good.
But it very much, as Crepo illustrated and Deficio on the cast, it was very much about this top lane triangle from Giants, and helping Smitty J succeed is really what allowed him to really shine. And the fact that there was putting so much support there to help him out was very beneficial.
It's his birthday too, so
yeah, if there's ever a time to shine,
there we go.
Give yourself a gift.
Definitely. So Giants with a 1-on-1 versus Vitality. While Giants were doing that here over on EULCS 2, on EULCS 1, G2 and Schalke are in Game 2, and you kept an eye on that one.
Yeah, honestly, this is why I'm staring in the distance sometimes. It's a fantastic game so far. Steve is going off. He's been honestly the main focal point of this entire series. If you look at G2, low econ top laner, heavy priority in the bot lane, complete opposite here for Schalke, the way they've been playing. Game 1, they had the Trundle pick on Steve. Now Game 2, Olaf, and he's bypassing all these crowd control effects. The Hecarim charging in, Steve doesn't care. Nami tidal wave, Steve doesn't care. And he's creating space for these team fights that Schalke is winning right now. They seem to be taking down Expect again. They just took a Baron, and every time Steve takes out 1 or 2 members, that's when Fox steps forward with his Swain, and that continued DPS output is doing wonders here for Schalke. So they're performing much better as G2 as a team. The only reason they lost Game 1 is due to individual errors.
And we can see now this is a live check-in of the game going on there. As you can see on the Nexus, not on the Nexus turret just yet, but pushing into the base Schalke. So we'll see how that evolves, and you guys can catch the end of that game over on EULCS 1. For here, though, it is time for us to take a quick break and reset the rifts. Before we go, we sat down with some of the top mid laners in Europe to talk about arguably the most famous play in League of Legends. For the full video, head over to eu.lolesports.com/midlaneweek. Let's take a listen.